Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. And today we have back with us again, Tom Stefaniak, who's a certified financial planner and president of Pinnacle Wealth Management. And today we're going to be talking about putting your financial house in order. Tom, welcome to the program again.
Well, thank you for having me back. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's been great talking through this series, and I just love your approaches to these topics and your, the way that you really serve your clients with from the heart. And I think that's rare today. I think so many times we can all think of a topic or an idea or that we're working with whoever in the professional world, and it's like I just kind of feel like I'm just another number. And I know you don't do that. So I'm excited to talk about this topic here, putting your financial house in order, because it kind of feels like this, we've talked about some topics and now let's bring it all together and bring it home. So what do you want to start off with regarding putting your financial house in order?
It starts with, the most important service I provide to our clients. And I'm going to stop here because I had a preconceived notion in my head, and it is different than reality. And it was interesting. This is a lesson I learned over the last couple of years. Because whenever someone would ask me what I do, I said, I run an investment management firm. And so I always thought it was the investments that is fun and exciting.
Yeah.
Kind of what's the sexy thing to talk about is the stocks and the bonds and the funds and investments and all that stuff. But one of the lessons I've learned in the last couple of years is that we actually add more value to our clients through financial planning.
Yeah.
It's a big part of it itself. We call it a wealth plan, but kind of take a look at the big picture of where you are in the world and how much have you saved, how much have you how much do you have to deal with taxes, how much you have to deal with your debts, and right? It's a weird thing, but that's the fun, exciting thing to talk about is the investment value is the financial planning.
Something you said really made me think hard about a comment that I think I want to really bring out, which is really important. You said, one of the lessons I've learned in the last couple of years. Well, I want to dive into that just for a second, because I think it's an important aha, because I think people in the financial services world sometimes can go, I know everything about stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and retirement plans. And next, come on in. Here's yours. Next, come on in. You've been in business a minute or two, right? 30 plus years. And so when you say that one of the lessons learned means there's multiple lessons. And when you say in the last couple of years, it means that you are doing what I've heard is called CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. So before we kind of dive in deeper on what a wealth plan is and the most important service, I think this is really important to bring up. Talk a little bit about how you stay on top of learning lessons and bringing the best, most relevant, cutting edge, advice to your clients.
It's a good topic to talk about, and it's something I'm passionate about. I'm a lifelong learner, right? You always have to learn from where the world is. I know there are a lot of very smart people in the world. Part of my role is to go and find those smart people and listen to them. And they might be industry experts, but some of the life lessons I've learned, especially in the last couple of years, is just having really long, in-depth conversation with my clients and ask them, so what value did we bring to you? And have these long conversations of like, you're connected with us and you're involved with us, you know my family and you understand my situation. And they go through these long conversations like, wait a second, you didn't talk at all about the investments though, did you? You talked about the relationships and understanding who you are as a person and making the right recommendation for that person. And so, yes, I get some knowledge from the world and the industry experts, so to speak, but my clients have been my best educators.
Yeah. That's really neat because that also means that you are coming alongside your clients and collaborating with them. And that's a whole different feel than someone walking out of their financial advisor's office going, "What did you understand what he said?" I think that's sometimes that can be something that maybe other advisors get that reaction. So I love that concept of coming alongside. So then now, if one of the most important services you provide is a wealth plan, what's a wealth plan?
What's a wealth plan? Great question, Mike. Inevitably, people take a look at just little slices of the pie at one time. Let's talk about my 401k. Let me talk about my IRA. Let me talk about my mortgage. Let me talk about, I want to save for my kids' college. Those are all slices, aren't they? And what we do in the wealth plan, we take a look at the whole pie, because how much you put in your 401k affects how much you can spend and save for your kids' college fund, how much can you spend on next year's vacation, how fast you can pay down your mortgage. They'll all interact. And let me give you a very specific example. I worked with a client earlier this year that had a mortgage, and it's less than $100,000 left in the mortgage. And they had a whole bunch of cash, more than that cash in the bank account. And they were struggling because they couldn't afford to make the mortgage payment because they were spending more than they were earning. And so we talked to them. It's like, wouldn't it make sense to take all that cash that's in the savings account and pay off your mortgage and free up that $1,500 per month payment to you? And oh my gosh, when we did this, just you see the stress just kind of go away.
Yeah.
And that's adding value, isn't it? Not that I got a 1 or 2% better rate of return on their investment account, but I changed their monthly life by freeing up this debt that they had that was just this dragging them down every single month. That's planning. That's where you have an impact on people.
It reminds me of the quote from Maya Angelou. Maybe you'll remember this, and I'll get it close. I won't nail it exactly, but people will forget what you say about them, but they will never forget how you make them feel.
Oh, wow. I love that.
So Google it and you'll get the actual, the actual word for word quote. But that's the gist is, oh yeah, Tom told me this. Okay, that's good. But hold on a second, man alive. We were really oppressed and we were really feeling the pressure and struggle of this financial element, this element. But man, he just ding, the light went off and he gave us this idea and it wasn't anything off the wall. It was like, well, yeah, it was sitting right in front of me. Man, that just relieves so much. And I think that when they then feel that and they recognize that you had their best interest in mind, because that didn't do anything for you at all whatsoever, it's how you make them feel.
It's a good point. As a fiduciary here at our firm, we're required to act in their best interest, right?
Yeah.
In their best interest might be paying off the mortgage and freeing them of that debt that's been dragging them down month after month after month. That's where you add value.
Well, and you mentioned that the mortgage was under 100,000. So whatever the number was, and that amount was sitting in, like a savings account. So a person could have said, hey, why don't we take that money and put it into this fund and it can grow to but being in their best interest, being that fiduciary, you were like, hey, you know what? Why don't we just shift it from here over to there and poof. Look at what that does for you. There could have been a lot of other options that you would have recommended that would have benefited your firm or you numbers wise, but it would not have relieved their stress. So I just think that that's a big aha when you're telling that story of how can sometimes clients just think, well, my wealth plan is going to be growing money for retirement. Sometimes the wealth plan is plugging up a hole in the bucket.
You hit it right on the head. What's their pain point now? How can we solve the problem?
So what's another element or another slice of that wealth plan that you are watching for to give advice for your clients?
Awesome. Because obviously all interacts, right? And we use some software to do some projections. When you retire, you can live on so much money per month and it'll last this long. But we had another client just recently we just talked to that just retired and wants to travel a lot, but they weren't sure how much they could afford. And so we actually worked with our software and said, okay, let's put in $10,000 a year for your travel budget for the next 10 years. Because they want to go through what I jokingly call the go-go years, those early retirees that want to go do stuff. And they had an RV and they want to travel everywhere, but they weren't sure how much they could spend. So we worked with a plan and said, okay, you can spend $10,000 a year. And I remember when we sat down at our desk here in our office, and I told them, and they showed them $10,000 a year, all of a sudden they're talking about, oh, that means we can actually take the RV and go to Oregon and Washington. Maybe we can actually make it up to Alaska. And then we started making some plans, right? Like, oh, and then we can actually visit my sister in Michigan, and oh, wouldn't that be cool? And they were making huge plans, and they were kind of moving that next step forward. And you just see the excitement in their eyes as they're talking about it.
I think when you say the words planning for retirement, I think people go, hey, I've heard that before. I got to do it at some point. But I think when you can kind of crystallize it and make it come to life, and what does that really mean? And when you're saying here, this wealth plan, it sounds good. It sounds like I need to have one, but wow, does that mean that I can actually spend X number of dollars and actually do these things? And like to your point about this example of this client, I personally wouldn't want to do that, what you just described, but they wouldn't want to do what I would want to use $10,000 a year for. But when you could quantify it and go, what if you could use this amount of money to do these things? Now they're filling in the blanks and they're getting excited and getting right back to what we just said a minute ago. The emotion, the feeling, you relieved the debt from the one client and now you're giving joy to another.
Absolutely. It's kind of exciting how different people react to when we talk about doing the wealth plan and what the results are and what the recommendations are and what you can do. It kind of gives them some new insights of where they could go.
As you were describing that story, a thought popped in my mind. And I know you've heard this before. It sounds cliche, but money is a tool. You're using money, the wealth plan, the retirement, for the tool to what? Well, in the one case, relieve debt. So I feel that relief. Money is a tool. So you're using it for clarifying what they can do with $10,000 a year and go on the RV trips. So money is a tool, but man, you got to use it, like that hammer that is a tool. You can pound in a nail to build something at home, or you can also hit your window and break the glass. Well, it could be used in a helpful way or a not so helpful way. So money is a tool. You just got to know how to use it the right way. So using money the right way within a wealth plan, you need a guide, and that's what you're doing. I love those examples.
I always talk about this, and it's kind of weird for the financial guy to say that it's only money, right?
Yeah.
It's only money. And the important thing is what's important in your life.
Yeah.
Is it travel? Is it relieving debt? Is it helping the grandkids out? Is it doing whatever it is for charitable things? But it's only money. The important thing is what makes you happy, and how does that money allow you to do the things that will allow you to make you happy?
Well, we've heard the example so many times before, and I know I've used the word cliche here several times, so it's cliche to say the word cliche. But anyway, on your deathbed, if someone were to say, what would you have liked to have done different? Most of the time, it's not going to be spent more time in the office to make more money. So it's only money. Yep. So most of the time, those revelations are going to be, I wish I had, and fill in the blank with some of these things we're talking about: traveled more, spent more time with the grandkids, invested more in their lives, given more to charity, spent time, helping out at the food bank, whatever those things are for you. So it really does get down to those things, and those things actually take money. So it gets down to money's a tool and money's only a thing.
Yeah.
So wealth plan, any other slices of the wealth plan that would be helpful to talk through?
Yeah. The great thing about a wealth plan is what we use in our firm. It's some software, and each individual client has their own one. It's personalized, okay. Right? And we actually set up your own website, password protected, encrypted, all that good stuff. But the great thing about that, you go to one place, one login, and you get to see everything, right? You know where all of your stuff is. Now, most people won't look at it very often, although I do have some computer programming engineers that look at it way too much because they're too analytical. But most people look at it maybe once a year. But the nice thing is whenever you look at it, it's up to date. All that stuff is there, where our assets and where our liabilities, where our income comes from, and all that kind of stuff. And we actually just got done working with a client, just getting them set up just recently, because the husband and wife had multiple old 401k and retirement plans from a whole bunch of different employers all over the place. And honestly, they lost track of it all.
Wow.
And that just scares me. Like, you lost money? Really?
Yeah.
Where are these accounts? And it was a lot of old retirement accounts. And at least having putting this all in the wealth plan, we put it all together where they could actually see where it all is. Like, oh, wow. Yes, I remember all these accounts. That was from an employer from like 15 years ago. And
Wow.
with money over there? Oh, yeah, we did. And does it make sense to consolidate them? Yeah, maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But at least now they.
But at least we've got the lasso around them on. We know where they are.
Right. Not only for themselves, but to make sure that they have all of their money that they've saved and they've earned and they've sweated over and saved and all of that. But making sure that if something happens to one or the other person knows where the money is, or worst case scenario, something happens to both of them, their kids know where to go and start looking for things. Having one contact where you give one phone call to our office to find out where everything is extremely valuable.
Yeah. Yes, 100%. So makes me think now when you have all of that in one spot, it's kind of like that. Oh, okay, that's cool. That's good. I can see everything. And now, is it tied in where you then need to go in and make updates monthly where, or quarterly, where it's like, okay, well, my mortgage is right there. I see that, or my car loan. So now got my latest statement and I need to enter into my portal, the current balance, or does it, tie in to see the changes?
Actually, Mike, it's even easier than that. We actually link up your accounts, your 401k, your IRA. We link up your mortgage. So literally updates overnight, every single night. So It's really easy for our clients. Yeah. One of my clients says, wait, I don't have to do anything? Wait, that's my wheelhouse. I'm really good at not doing anything.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much. I can get a lot done without doing anything. Good. Okay. So then how about this? How often do you update this plan? Because there could be, strategies under. So what you just said is the, like the 30,000 foot bird's eye view. That's good. But there's strategies and slices within that plan that you're doing, like, oh, we want to have this money here and whatnot. Are you making updates to that? Or, is that like an annual thing that you just kind of see how things have been performing? Because you certainly, in my opinion, would not want to go, oh, look what the market did yesterday. Let's update the whole thing. No, you don't want to be that granular because now you're reacting. You're not responding.
You hit it right in the head. We offer to meet with our clients every 6 months, and we're pretty adamant about that. Yeah. Because, to your point is life doesn't change very much from day to day, but in 6 month increments, things change a lot, right? Your salary could change, your job could change. I know from my world, interest rates and inflation and the tax laws change on a regular basis. So we get together with our clients every 6 months to review the plan. And I think that's really important to make sure that we kind of get focused every 6 months just to say, okay, where are we at? Oh, we're on track. We're awesome. Let's keep it going. Or, hey, something changed here. What happened? Well, I lost my job and I have to change. I got a new job. I have to update some of that information. Or your income change. Hey, I got a big bonus. I'm getting salary. Okay, what do I do with this extra funds? Do I save it? Do I put in the college fund? Do I stop it in my 401k? Again, we're looking at the whole pie, not just one slice of it. And so that they all interact.
Well, so it makes me now think of that example you gave about the couple with the mortgage and you advised to move it to pay the mortgage off. It gave them relief. That's wonderful. That would be one of the events when you meet with them next to say, okay, now let's, in addition to how great that makes you feel, we're saving X number of dollars per month and you were going under by this. So now that fills that gap, but there's still now this monthly surplus that now let's talk about what we should be doing with that. So that's an example of now updating the plan, right? Because one move might create 2 or 3 opportunities.
Absolutely true. And, and life goes along and let's say, okay, I got to buy a car now. Yeah. Okay. We saved the money in this account over here. Yeah. Now we can buy the car for cash. Yeah. Or, hey, I would like to do some annual gifting to my kids to help them out to make sure that they're successful itself. How do I make that happen? Absolutely. That's what we get together every 6 months for and modify the plan. And the great thing is these plans are so dynamic. As life changes and you move forward, this moves with you.
Yeah. And, back at years and years and years ago, I remember when I was paying off a series of credit cards that I'd run up back in my 20s. And, I learned the lesson from my parents not to use credit cards, but, in one ear and out the other. But I remember what I would do is I would literally pay the smallest one off and go out back. My wife and I would burn the statement, like symbolically going, never again. And we never did again, got into credit card debt, and that's wonderful. But what I'm saying is I felt that momentum. And I felt like, oh, that's that one done. And now that monthly payment that I was putting on that, I'm going to now snowball into the next thing. So many times when you're talking about the wealth building side of things, of course, you're handling the debt like we mentioned about the mortgage. But I think that there also could be that momentum being built up on seeing when you meet with them quarterly or every 6 months. Wow, look at the progress I've made here. And that motivates us to, continue on the course or to add more into this, or, we were kind of overspending in this area. So what if we just stop doing this thing, whatever that is, and we could pour that into this strategy that is doing really well? Do you find people like really kind of going, wow, it's working and I want to do more?
You hit a very key thing is we always call it the retirement nest egg goal. How big of a pile of money do you need to retire? For some people, it's $500,000. Maybe some people it's $1 million or $2 million, depends if you have pensions or not. And it's an individual number because it's very personalized. And so we have this number for people. Say, okay, this is what you need to have. And people get excited, like, oh, I'm getting close to that number, And like, all right, I hit that number. If we do this in the next 3 years, we can save more into the 401k or add more money to my Roth IRA and build it up. And wouldn't that be great? And they get motivated, get excited about it all, which is, gets me juiced up too.
Yes. Well, because again, let's wrap up with what you just said there is you are doing way more than just here's your plan. Here's your plan. Here's your plan. You are creating momentum. You're creating, relieving stress. You're creating enthusiasm for your clients. And when they see you get as excited as they get, boy, that just is like adding fuel to the fire. So I think that is so spectacular. So Tom, let's wrap up with final thoughts on getting your financial house in order. And then what's the best way that someone hearing this might reach out and go, can you give me a little estimate on my financial house?
Awesome too, Mike. Thank you very much. I appreciate this conversation because it's something I'm passionate about, right?
Yes.
Helping people out and making a difference in the world, trying to add value every day. So what you can do is go to our website, pinnaclewm.com, and we have a connection where you can actually get a free financial planning introductory meeting with me. We could do this over Zoom or in face-to-face, whatever's best for you, and just kind of understand where you are. Where is your financial house right now? Are you organized or not? Or what steps you need to take to get organized to get the next step going forward? So we always offer that free initial meeting just to talk and see where you're at and what you should be doing going forward.
Awesome. Well, Tom, thank you so much for coming on the show today again, and just love your passion and enthusiasm for serving your clients, and it just comes through. So thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate the time.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.